Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Artie Shepherd, coming to you from my wife's beautiful store, the Pink Moon, here in Gowanus, Brooklyn, and just getting ready to interview one of my very old friends. His name is Ed Reyes. He was in a band called Take Back Sunday, as well as many other bands back in the old days of Long Island. Me and him have been friends since we were about 14. And I think he's probably my oldest friend I've had on here.
Yes. Where are you, Ed?
How do you work this thing? Is that how you do it? My son.
Yeah. No, you're good, man. Leave Jonas alone. Let him do his YouTube show.
He's upstairs playing drums to like your shit and Texas Reese and all that. He's got his headphones on practicing.
Nice. He's got like an electronic.
That's what he does all day.
Does he have an electronic
I
kit?
got him like a Yamaha. I got him like a pretty sick electronic kit because we're in townhouses, so he can't have his real drum sets at the studio.
Oh, cool.
I run a studio with a buddy of mine. Yeah, so we keep his gear there.
Awesome, man. How you doing?
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm just chilling, man. Just chilling. Hanging out, Just cooked some dinner. And I just talked to my mom. My mom had heart surgery yesterday.
Oh, shit. How's she doing?
Yeah, well, she couldn't breathe. So my sister rushed to the hospital because she thought, she's in Florida. Oh, well, here we go. She thought it was COVID or something.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, no, her heart is failing. So they had to do like emergency heart surgery on her.
Jesus Christ.
And she's fine.
Wow. Well, I'm glad she's good, man. I miss I miss the old house where she would constantly offer me food every time I walked in.
Right.
No, honey, are you hungry? Do you want some food?
Yeah, she still talks like that.
That's
she even
awesome.
asked me on the video chat today if I ate. I mean, come on.
Oh man, so you doing some music these days? You've been writing on your time off, or
no? I honestly I have some gear here at the house, and I've been writing stuff and just recording shit on my phone. Like I have the little guitar app thing on my phone, and I haven't really had a chance to go to the studio and sit down and write stuff. I was trying to do that band, but that fell through. That's a whole long story.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel ready yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I rushed it, and things just weren't going my way, and it just wasn't what I wanted it to be. But
well, starting over is
they're going on without me.
Starting over is really hard, and especially coming from where you came from. And it's I saw the band. You guys played Vitus. It was really good. I mean, I wasn't sure how happy you were, but it's like it's hard to tell. We don't see each other that often, so but
no, I wasn't really happy. I wasn't really. It just wasn't. Things weren't molding the way I thought they would. Like I guess I was with a group of guys I was with for 20-something years. And then there's these new guys that I have to get. Even though I knew some of them really well, and one of them's an actual relative, it just didn't. I don't know. It's just gonna take time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You adapted to many changes in Take Back Sunday, though. It wasn't like you were with the same guys all the time, which is one of the more interesting. But we'll get into that later. I wanted to get into so you and I have known each other since we were 14, I think, maybe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You're a year older than me.
Yeah, I was 14. You were younger. I think you were 13.
No, you were 15. I was 14. You're 11 months older than me.
Yeah, that's right. I was 15. You were 14. That's right. Yeah.
So we met through a guy named Scott Martin, who was played bass in Mind Over Matter, and more recently Silent Majority, Millhouse, lots of bands over the years. Probably the guy who taught me how to arrange music without knowing it, because he never played straight guitar parts like most hardcore people did. He played, he played bass lines, which we had never. We were like, wow, this is crazy, But I never really thought twice about it.
Play around it.
But right, totally. But so we met and we started going to shows together with me, you, and General George, and it's interesting because it really was sort of the genesis of a couple of scenes coming together, bunch of people. We weren't really scenes at that point because the only people doing shows were people like Tyler, and he was booking like DA and shit like that. And you know, it was like one of those things where, I mean, we were just texting with each other about it, but we made flyers because we had jammed with Paul Brinkman before that, right?
Yeah.
And then we made flyers for a singer and a drummer and handed them out at Sundance. And I believe that's when you met George Reynolds. And
yeah, I thought George Reynolds was White Power.
Yeah, so did I. But like, don't say that. He's gonna get so upset.
No, of course he's not. I walked up to him and I asked him like an idiot, and then he was like, "No," and I was like, "Oh, I'm Ed," and he's like, "I'm George," and then that's how, you know. And then he met you, and yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, what was funny about that was it was DA. I think DA was on first. Disciplinary action. Sorry, might have been. It might have been like if I remember correctly, Winter might have played as well.
Winter was playing, yeah.
And like maybe like Death or somebody like that headlined. It was something. It was some weird fucking Sundance bill. But I remember vividly, and George forbade me from telling this story because I was his best man at his wedding in his short-lived marriage. And he forbade me from telling the story where he came up to me, and the way we met was, hey man, don't go in the pit because like some of these guys are like fucking, you know, they're gonna kick the shit out of you. And it was like me and you, and you had like a fucking mullet because you were allowed to. I couldn't have long hair, but we were total metal kids. We were like, okay, we won't go in there. And he's like, dude, that never happened. I'm like, yes, it did. I swear to God, it did. But anyway, so yeah, so then we wound up going to John LaFata's basement, right? Yep. And jamming, and it sounded really good. And Mike Richardson was the guy who actually first sang for Mind Over Matter, and we were kind of like, I don't know. And then we jammed again the next week, and George showed up and played, and I believe that's when we met Artie Philly as well. And it was like, it like everything gelled at once. I think we wrote like fucking like 6 songs in a week or something. And it was just a really interesting time, you know, like things seemed to like move really slow, but really fast at the same time. One of my favorite, like the NYU show. Do you remember the Crucial Chaos show where that kid Derek got arrested?
Oh oh my God. Man, we played some weird shows. I remember we carried all our gear onto a train and we walked through, and wasn't that some rooftop we played?
Yeah, fuck. Where the fuck was that? It was fucking crazy.
It was like by ABC No Rio or wherever it was, like down in like the village.
Yeah. Was that? Oh God, I remember that because it was like fuck it. Yeah, we did some really super.
And I remember it was put on by the people at Wreckage Records. I remember they were the ones who hooked it up because they were starting to show interest in the band, if I can remember right.
But that was after we went to the Continental. We played the show at the Continental. Yeah. I forget with who, but they saw us play there, and then they were like, hey, yeah, we're really interested. And they hooked us up with that weird rooftop party. And then I remember having a meeting with them at a Quicksand Jawbox show at CB's. And then after that, we went to their apartment on Green Street, on Broadway, West Broadway. And I remember walking out of that, one of my very vivid memories of that whole time, where they were like, they offered us some like we were like, are you sure you're going to give us 3 records? You're really going to put out 3 records of ours? And we were like all psyched about this 3-record deal. And it was like so stupid and backwards. It's like, that's not the way you're supposed to really do it. But I remember walking out of that, we were on the street, and I turned to you and I went, Ed, everything we write is going to get put out from now on in our lives. And it was like, it's so fucking weird. It's such a weird time. And it was crazy, man. Like that whole period was,
you know, everything had to fall into place, you know?
Oh yeah.
Everything had to fall into place. Hey, am I like squiggly going on camera for you too?
Not on mine.
You're kind of like
not on mine. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, maybe that's just the way I'm seeing you. Yeah. I can see you a little bit better now.
All right, cool. So there was sort of a genesis, like John LaFata's basement was kind of sort of the epicenter of what became the Long Island hardcore scene at that time. You know, I want you to talk a little bit about your experience with that, with the Silent Majority kids and Artie Philly and everybody, like Neglect, obviously.
Man. I mean, it was just, man, I can't remember how I met. Like, I always try to remember things because I'm getting older now, and I'm like, God, how did I meet Tommy? I think I met Tom. I remember I met Tom and Rich at a show, and they were wearing trench coats, and they were handing out demos and flyers. And I used to remember going, who are these dorks? Later on, becoming some of my closest friends, and later on, Sound Majority becoming legends. Um, who else?
Sound Majority might have been together at
I
that
mean,
time because like I
yeah,
remember
they were.
they would always come down to rehearsals, either our rehearsals. Neglect rehearsals were more like shows or
Yep.
parties.
Yeah, they were.
Our rehearsals are very serious. But yeah, it's uh, those guys were always around, always. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
Artie Philly's another good one. Because if I remember correctly, he had this leather jacket that had like "Born Against" written on one side and Jane's Addiction on the other.
Yeah. Yeah. He he doesn't know what he wants to be.
He was just brutalized in
Um,
high school.
yeah. Yeah, he definitely was. Oh God, I'm trying to remember. I knew Derek Schilling for a while too. I mean, wow. Derek goes back. I think Derek goes back as far as Sundance.
Yeah, we
I think
definitely met
Derek's been in
Derek
the
at
thing.
Sundance for sure. We definitely met Derek.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like just going to see Neglect practice, and I used to go see this band. We used to go hang out with the Apparition guys.
Right, right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. The bass
And
player
yeah,
was in Suffocation, still is.
yeah, Suffocation. The guitarist, what's his name? Oh God, I forgot his name. Shit, it's been so long since I've seen him. Anyway, he introduced me to a lot of bands, like hardcore bands and stuff like that. So, and I remember going to Uncle Phil's and that one day, and I bought Dagnasty, Can I Say, and Victim in Pain, Gnostic Front, and that like kind of made me go, like I was still a metalhead. I'm always a metalhead, but it made me go that way, and then I think that's how I ended up. I think I met. Derek's gonna correct me, but I think I met him at Uncle Phil's. Do you remember Uncle Phil's?
Yeah, of course,
Or do you
dude.
remember Slip Discs?
We went to meet Coroner and Creator at Uncle Phil's. Remember,
Yeah.
dude?
Was I with you when
Yeah,
was I with you when we went to go meet King Diamond and I had my Striper T-shirt on?
yeah. At Looney Tunes.
And, and I remember King Diamond looking at me and going, "Very funny," and then he signed my thing. That was so hilarious.
my
Wow.
favorite, my favorite, my favorite story with you, because it was such a big thing for you. And it was the night before my SATs. I remember this very vividly. Probably the night before yours too, but I'm not sure you cared. But the I was we went to see Sepultura at Sundance, and it was
Yeah.
their it was the second show they played in America, but the first show they had played in New York. And you had Schizophrenia painted on the back of your jacket, which was
Yep.
fucking nobody had that. That was like fucking so.
I still have that jacket. I can't wear it. I'm saving it for my son.
I'm sure he'll love it, man. It's an amazing jacket. But
Yeah.
I remember us going really early, and we were hanging out with Max and the guys in the band before the
Yeah.
show. It was like 8 o'clock. It was before like the first band even went on. We were so excited. We're like, oh my God.
Right.
And we actually,
Right.
I don't know if we met him that day at Slip Disc. We might have. I don't know if it was that day or the next day. And we got all our shit signed. Like they had the gatefold version of
Right.
Schizophrenia, which they brought from Brazil and all the shit.
Yeah.
And I remember Max, and it was great because I told Max's wife this story, and Gloria, and it's
Yeah.
like he's like he's like drinking a whiskey, and he was 18. He was like a year old, like 2 years older than us, maybe. And he's like
Yeah.
he hands me the whiskey, and he goes, "Take my whiskey. I'm going backstage to get a blowjob." I was like, and I was like, you know, I'm like, wow, I just got a whiskey. Like I could never drink at Sundance. Jesus, it was so fucking funny.
That's
But
great.
you were like so fucking starstruck. You were like, oh my God, it's Max Cavalera. It's fucking cool. And it was like
Yeah, I still love Sepultura, so
we saw Voivod, Soundgarden, and Faith No More together as well.
yeah.
I remember that show really
Yeah.
well.
Remember do you remember what's his name was taking the mic and smashing the ceiling
Yeah, Chris
during
Cornell.
Soundgarden?
Yeah.
Chris Cornell, and they stopped them like halfway through
Yeah,
their
yeah.
set.
And Frank Cariola walked out and he goes, "These guys are never going to play here again." We were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, right. Lo and behold, they become one of the biggest bands in the world.
Well, we saw so many shows
I
like
got a
that.
funny story about Voivod.
Oh, do it.
I got a funny story about Voivod. We were doing Warped Tour, and we had a runner for us, and so I told my tour manager, hey, I want to go to that hotel they're providing so I can take a shower because I haven't showered for like 5 days. So he said, all right, the runner's waiting outside the bus for you. So I walk out, I get in the car, and this is in Montreal. I'm wearing a Voivod t-shirt, by the way. I turn over to look over and give him the directions or whatever, and it's Snake from Voivod driving me.
Shut the
And
fuck
he looks
up.
at my t-shirt and he looks at me and he goes, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, buddy. When I talk about starstruck, I was like a little kid in that car ride all the way to the hotel and back.
Oh my God, dude. What the fuck? That's crazy.
It was crazy. The craziest thing ever. And I'll never forget that. That made me love them even more. And he was such an awesome dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's not, those guys never made like a lot of money at all. I mean, it's still to this day, they probably draw like 300, 400 people. I mean, just like one of the most amazing, innovative bands of all time, hands down.
Oh, by far. By far. I mean, Dimension Hatred is one of the great, to me personally, one of the best written albums out there.
Absolutely. It's my favorite. I mean, we saw that tour too.
Oh, yeah.
So throughout the early hardcore days, I mean, like we could reminisce forever about all those stupid shows at Carol's Place and, you know, all that shit. I mean, I still have pictures of us playing at Sundance. Yeah. Jesus Christ. And, you know, like, and I can't remember, like, you know, like you had moved on at that point. What was the next band after Mind Over Matter? Was it Inside?
No, it was Clockwise.
Oh, it was Clockwise. Jesus Christ.
Well,
oh my God. Sorry.
It was like a brief moment. It was a band called No Thought. And
right, with Artie. Right. Yeah.
Artie was singing in it. And we don't know where Artie went. He just never showed up to practice again. He played like 2 shows with us and just disappeared, I think. Pretty much that's how it went down. And then an old buddy of ours took over to do vocals. But that didn't last long. It only lasted like 4 shows. And then we broke up. And then me and George started Clockwise. Because I met Artie, not Artie, I met Phil at a party, I remember, out in, where the hell was that?
Sayville.
Out in Sayville?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a party on Sayville and I met him. And then we just started jamming and that was, you know, Clockwise, pretty much.
Yeah, and Clockwise was a band that like just kind of hung around peripherally, but played a lot of great shows. And your demo and your Semitage are pretty legendary on Long Island. Honestly, like you know, like when we did those reunion things, which you could make, it was like that was pretty, like, to see the reaction of the crowd and people still remembering was really special. And I felt like, you know, I know there like when Josh DeMarco joined, there was weirdness because then Josh DeMarco left Clockwise to join Mind Over Matter, which
I never really cared. I never really cared at all. I think it was more Josh making it dramatic. And we were like,
really?
Okay, you know, but,
shocking.
we won't get too deep into it.
No, we don't have to. It's fucking 8,000 years ago. But yeah, so Clockwise was, you know, Clockwise had its moments, and like, what was it that brought Clockwise to an end? Were you guys just like over it? Like,
I don't know. It's just like, I think Phil wanted to do some stuff, and I don't know. It was weird how we just stopped. There really was no explanation. We just stopped. But that's when I a couple months later, I started, I started Inside towards the end of Clockwise.
okay.
And the Inside started taking off. And I think that kind of like fizzled out Clockwise a little bit. So it could have been my fault. Oh, my kid's texting me from upstairs. So yeah, honestly, dude, I can't really remember it wasn't anything terrible. You know what I mean? It was just one of those, we played a last show, you know? And then I went on with Inside, and then I had a falling out with those guys. So I walked away from that band. And then literally a month later, I started Movie Life.
Who we're still playing.
Yeah. Me and Vinny keep in touch, you know? We're good friends.
He's a good kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
I call him a kid now. He's probably almost 40, but yeah,
right.
I love that first movie, like 7-inch that Dubin put out. There's a
Yeah.
fucking really original, really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and then they decided to drive through and did their thing. But so let's get into the crux of your career, when it actually became professional, which I have so many stories about, because I was sort of, you know, at that point I was an Aerotype with Phil, and you know, we were kind of together quite a bit, hanging out, and yeah, it was an interesting time because you guys had just started, and I remember when Antonio was a singer, and I actually talked to Adam about this, and I saw you guys at Meow Mix. It was the last show you played with Antonio. Wow. It's the last show you ever played with Antonio.
I can't hear you, man. You're breaking up bad.
Sorry.
You're like all. No, I'm saying your video is getting all squiggly.
Oh.
Are you in a basement?
No, dude. I got fucking full bars, bro.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's me.
I'll talk slow.
So what were we saying?
So I saw the last show you guys played with Antonio, which was at Meow Mix, and there was like maybe 6 people there, and it was like Adam couldn't even face the stage. He was like playing bass with his back to the stage, and it was such a fucking shit show, and it was super funny. And when Adam became the singer, you know, it was like talk about it. I want you to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, how long after Adam became the singer did things start to really develop differently and musically, and like you guys did your demo?
I mean, we just, it's really weird. You know, when you start something and then you get that vibe, something's happening and this is cool. Like, it happened when, I think, Antonio quit. You know, it sucked that he quit and all that. So we had to figure something out. So I turned around to Adam and I said, you know how to sing. You did backing vocals. And he was like, oh, I never sang before. So I was like, well, put down the bass and pick up the microphone. And he didn't know what to do with the mic. I was like, just go fucking crazy like Cedric or whoever. And that's where you start swinging the microphone and jumping around and punching people and all that crazy stuff that Adam did. And then, but I think we had this intensity of like, I was kind of like, nah, this band, we need to just take it to another. Let's just go nuts. Who gives a shit? And I think that's what helped us, was that we were a very energetic live band, and we didn't care what people thought about us. And we were definitely not tight or perfect. We were the opposite. We were sloppy as hell. And I think it was just like, finally I was having a lot of fun. And I was also finding myself as a musician too. And it just was like, it felt right to me. So we just put everything into it, you know, like everything. Like, there's so many shows I can recall Adam's face completely covered in blood, or my gear's broken again. And it was just fun, just destroying everything and having fun. You know what I mean? Like, just being laughed at for like a year by other bands or whatever. And then we were like, all right, well, it's time for us to stop being like that, you know? And I think people started taking it seriously. And then, you know, the demo started getting shared, and boom, boom, boom. Next, you know, we're getting phone calls from Connecticut, from Massachusetts to Philly, come play. And it just slowly blew up, you know? Bigger and bigger.
I had a couple of stories that I actually talked to Adam about, which he vaguely remembered. But so I remember Triple Crown came to see you guys at Brownies. You opened for Aerotype, and Adam had no voice, like completely gone. Yeah. So I was like, you came up to me, you're like, yo, dude, can you help Adam out? I was like, all right, I guess I'll try. So I just plowed him with alcohol, and I was like, just get really drunk, and this way you won't care what you sound like, and you'll just push through it. Don't worry about it. And he was awful. Right. He was awful. And I remember him rolling around on the ground.
Yeah, and then Triple Crown didn't sign us.
No, yeah, they said no, which was hilarious. And then the next one was Aerotype had just gotten back from England, and we were asked to go on a Rival Schools tour, and we couldn't do it. And it was right around the time when you guys had a van, your demo was like starting to spread around. And then I was on the phone with Sammy Siegler, and he's like, do you know another band that could go on tour like next week? And I'm like, yeah, they're called Take It Back Sunday. Here's their information. And you guys went on that tour with Rival Schools. Yeah, and that was when Victory was already interested, but they had come and seen you in Indianapolis or something like that. And
Right. Yep.
And I always held it against you.
And Sammy and Walter and all those guys were great to us. And it was like, I don't know, some of my my favorite musicians and some of my favorite bands are taking me out on tour. How great is this?
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that tour was awesome. That tour was fun. I remember following them, you know, in our minivan with the trailer, and they would dump their piss on us.
that's nice.
It happened in Indianapolis, actually. They dumped their pee off their bus. They must have been, I don't know if the driver knew we were behind them, but I was like with the windshield wiper going. I'm like, oh, that smells great.
Was that when they were still? Was that when they were still doing the arm wrestling? I remember what they were doing.
I'm not sure.
On their first couple of tours, they would do arm wrestling contests before the show.
Yeah, they didn't do that with us. We just had a lot of chill time with them, but it was just cool to have a band like kind of believe in us. And I would say Rival Schools, you, Phil, and Angel. I think you guys laid the ground for, like, you guys laid the bricks down for Taking Back Sunday. Like, few people believed in us, you know.
Well, you know,
there were people who believed in us.
I'll say this: you guys got good really quickly. So it was a couple of years of sort of, okay, it's sloppy, it's messy, and then when it was go time, you guys really pulled it together. And I always said that Taking Back Sunday, throughout the history of Long Island hardcore and emo, is the world's most improved band. Like, it was like 0 to fucking 100, and once you guys got in your groove of writing and everything, that was when the fucking hits started rolling, and it was like really, really impressive. And I mean, I know, you know, like after, like, you guys were pretty much not super successful, but successful from the second the first Victory record came out. You know, like that, it kind of hit. It hit quick. And so, like, what was that? What was that like? I mean, like, you guys went from, you know, opening for Aerotype to fucking headlining, you know, playing the main stage of Warped Tour and all this big shit. Well, I mean, you know, like, how did you guys handle all that shit?
It was insane. It was, you know, and to be honest, I'll also, like, I think all of us, we were so grounded as people that, you know, some bands, they blow up, they get big, they get egos. I think that was the one awesome thing about Taking Back Sunday, was that we made sure we stayed grounded and we never forgot where we came from. So for us, when we walked out in a sold out show and everyone is there, for us, it was like, this is the best moment ever. Not like, oh, look at us, we're the best. You know, it's like, we were just so thankful for all of that. We were thankful for everyone. And we kept those morals and those ideas of the Long Island hardcore scene. And they still do that even without me, you know? And like, I see people on the street now, people see me at the store with my kids and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, calm down, dude. What's up? How's it going? You know, like, people are like, you're so down to earth. Well, I mean, cause we grew up on Long Island, involved in an awesome music scene that no one else really had.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's not true. DC had their scene, Boston, whatever, but Long Island had its special. It was special.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, because it was very much us. Like, I mean, other scenes, of course, everybody, there was an Artie Philly in every suburban town who would book shows, or Christian McKnight, you know what I mean? Like, those people existed all over the place, but on Long Island, what the difference between Long Island and, I feel like, other places is, we lived in the shadow of New York City, and that sort of CB scene that was happening right when me and you got into all the stuff, you know, maybe later for the other guys, but, like, you know, like, all the Mater Matter guys went to those CB's matinees and shit like that. And it was, you know, living in the shadow of that, we always felt like we weren't cool, you know, like we could never fit in. I remember the first time we played ABC No Rio, we all felt really uncomfortable. It was like, wow, these guys seem so cool, and like, they got all this, like, you know, and like, you got John LaFata going, meat, let's eat some meat, you know, when he sees a vegetarian thing. Yeah, he was like, it was, I feel like that had a lot to do with our humble approach towards things, and also the fact that we were like, we don't fit in there, we're just going to do our own fucking thing, even though we only lived 25 minutes away. You know what I mean?
Away.
But we just did
traffic, though.
But we just did our own thing, and in doing our own thing, we created a very, very unique sounding scene. It was completely different from anything else that was going on around the country. And, you know, it was, it still is, you know, I feel like there's so many great bands that still exist now, Iron Chic and, you know, Incendiary.
Incendiary is awesome. I love
Fucking,
that band.
they're like, you know, it's Backtrack from Long Island too, I think. Like these bands, like I feel like we laid the groundwork for bands to try and be better than, you know, like not be these thuggy bullshit bands, you know, even VOD, you know, like you talk about VOD was, yes, VOD could get like gratuitous mosh part, but VOD was sick and they were really original, you know, like Neglect, who started fucking hatecore. They literally invented a genre. They invented a genre. And it, you know, and the thing about Neglect,
the biggest teddy bear with the longest hair started hatecore.
yeah, totally. I mean, just ripping obituary riffs. Yeah, fucking fucking. But like, it was so heavy and it was so cool. And it, like, the thing about it, I feel like you guys, without a fucking question, even to this day, without you, whatever, Take Back Sunday always brought out bands from, you know, from the Long Island scene, whether it was my new bands or someone else's new bands. And Thursday is very much the same way, a similar upbringing, similar type band, you know, like that groundwork, that scene was fucking cool, and it still is cool, and it will always be fucking cool. It's universally cool. And, you know, like, I thank you for being fucking what you were once you became, you know, what you became. You know, it's fucking killer.
You know, I'm very proud of what Take Back Sunday became, and we worked very hard for it. I would like to say that we were one of the hardest working bands. They're still hard working. I'm still working hard, doing so many interviews. I'm not even in the band anymore. But the thing about, I remember having this conversation with Mark and a couple people, but I was like, you know, we have the power now, like, to open doors for people who deserve it just as much as we do. And I remember I would do interviews and I would just fucking blow up Texas is the Reason. I would blow up Sound Majority. I would, you know, talk about all your shit and all this. And like, we knew that now we could pull the strings. And that's why we were trying and we were doing so hard to get these bands out there and play, because, you know, we have the opportunity to look out for our brothers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was nice to be able to get a lot of bands on shows with us. You know?
Yeah. There was one issue of Alternative Press, which was right in the heart of the TBS Brand New feud thing that was going on, where I think they interviewed you guys and they interviewed Brand New, and they did the top 10 Long Island hardcore records of all time on the back page. And it was fucking awesome because you guys had mentioned obviously Mind Over Matter, but also Aerotype, and Brand New actually mentioned, I think, Mind Over Matter, which I thought was weird. But like you know, like I like the other guys in the band and whatever, so I'm not going to say anything. There's no point. But it was just it was like the Long Island hardcore issue. I think you guys were on the cover actually, but it was so fucking cool. It was like, it was so reminiscent. Like I was like, wow, that's so fucking cool. Like I played on 2 of those records of the top 10, and I produced the 3rd one, the Sound Majority record. You know, it's like, wow, that was really cool. And you know, I think we should talk about Sound Majority a little bit, because as far like between them and Glassjaw, which is another band that, you know, Glassjaw is a band that really, really broke out. Not as big as you guys, but they have a legacy and they're still able to draw a shit ton of people. And, you know, like there's a magic to the Glassjaw, mysterious, you know, thing that they do, because they're so insane.
I put up a post a couple of months ago, and me and John, because my son is, you know, he's 13, he's really getting into like, well, he's been into like a lot of music, but he's really getting into like really good shit. And like, you know, he loves Glassjaw. Like, we would blast it. And then from me blasting Glassjaw all the time, it all got drilled back into my head. And I'm like, oh man, I don't have Beck's number anymore. I can't call him anymore to see how he's doing. Or
I'll text it to you.
How Daryl's doing. Yeah. No, text it to me, because I lost it, because me and Beck used to talk all the time. But I made a post that said Glassjaw is the biggest band that should have been the band that took over everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I mean, of course they're respected, of course they're huge, but I'm saying, like, maybe they should have been in our shoes, and we could have came later. I mean, it's just one of those.
Or they could have been like, if
again,
they had, you know, if they had like stayed on the heavy route of their first record, they could have been like a Slipknot type band. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
they were
Massive.
on the upper echelon of a new metal sound, but again with that Long Island originality, that thing that geographically we were so separated.
That melodic.
Yeah. Well, and they also had a lead singer who was just fucking incredible, like just you know, beyond talented, and you know, still is to this day. We just toured with them, Primitive Weapons. The last band I played in we just toured with them. What, it was like a year ago or so. You just turn yourself around, dude. Yeah, you turn yourself around. tell your we got 40 minutes. Tell your son to get off the fucking internet so he doesn't use up all the bandwidth.
I know. I think I do it. Jonas! Go punk ass.
Don't go. Anyway.
No, I gotta get my charger. My phone's on.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's technology, you know?
Classic.
I'm gonna have to hold my phone. See, charge.
But yeah, so if we're gonna talk Long Island hardcore though, like in all honesty, you know, as much as Mind Over Matter had like, you know, the impact we had or neglect or, you know, even going back to DA or bands like that or you know, Clockwise, all this stuff, Sound Majority was sort of not sitting on the sidelines, but just getting better and better and better and better as we were playing. And, you know, you can't, to me, that band is the sort of epitome of the Long Island scene and what it became, especially musically. What are your feelings on that? I mean, like Tommy Cargan is the shit.
Well, I mean, if there wasn't Sound Majority, there wouldn't be a Glassjaw. You know, if there
that's
wasn't
true.
Sound Majority,
I mean,
there wouldn't be a brand new. You know, there wouldn't be a Taking Back Sunday. To be honest, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they influenced me because we all lived together and we all were doing the same shit together. But the dudes in my band who are younger than me, you know, love Sound Majority. You know what I mean? Adam and all them. But it's just, yeah. I mean, to me, Sound Majority is the one that really took off big. I mean, they were packing. How big were those shows when they would play Long Island? Remember?
Right. Yeah, we're huge. But like one of the reasons being is because they never really left. They only did like one tour, right? And it was like the fact that we just had them. We always had them. You know what I mean? And every kid on Long Island had them. They were theirs. They never went on to become you guys or, you know, or Glassjaw and like really get huge. So they always stayed ours. And I really feel like that's what kept them special. But like when you listen to like, you know, obviously I produced Life of a Spectator, and, you know, when that record was going down, I was just floored. I was floored. You know, I mean, you know, fucking their drummer hated me for putting him on a click track, but he needed it. And Ben and fucking, you know, but like, you know, watching Rich and Ryan, the way their guitars interacted was fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
They taught me so much about playing. And, you know, really the story of Long Island hardcore, you know, up to Taking Back Sunday getting huge and, you know, Brand New getting huge and Glassjaw getting huge. Really. And then obviously, sorry, there's a emergency vehicle going by in case anybody can hear it.
I miss those times.
Hope you're okay. Oh, don't, dude. It was rough a couple of months ago. But yeah, like
oh, I know.
You can't go through that story without talking about Sound Majority, who to me are the kings. They really are, you know, like, and you know, and it's crazy because we were all like, you lived with Tommy, and George Reynolds. Like, I mean, your basement kind of became the epicenter of the scene after I grew up a little bit and moved out. Because my parents' house used to be party house.
Right. Yeah.
It's good times.
I had so many. We had so many bands sleep in that tiny apartment. It was crazy. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
list of bands that stayed with us after shows.
Yeah,
God
you
damn
could
it! I
play
left this phone in my phone. All right, there you go. Got it.
play the fucking
All
PWAC
right.
and just stay with you guys. You know, it was like,
Yeah.
and we can talk a little bit about that too. I'm having Artie Philly on next week, um, so I'm
Oh,
sure I
don't
will.
make fun of me.
No, he won't. Yeah, he's a lot different since he's had kids. But yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the PWAC. So I was already moved. I already moved to Queens, and Phil and I were living together in Queens with Eric from Bad Trip. Was starting Airtight, but like you guys were still on Long Island, and the PWAC, like that shit blew up in ways like, you know, the angle was one thing. I mean, I remember when our first 7-inch came out, the Mind Over Matter 7-inch, and we were like, remember like we played that record release show at Hotel Leningrad, the Angle, and
Oh, yeah.
they made those little stupid flyers, and
Yeah.
we went from playing in front of 20 people to playing in front of 400 overnight, and it was like, what the
And then that
fuck?
was insane too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were like, what the fuck's going on? Like, it was
Right.
it was the sort of shift in everything where, you know, it was like Nirvana had hit, grunge had hit, Lollapalooza was happening, all the Guidettes turned into punk
Yeah.
girls. You know, we were like, wow. And
Yeah.
you know, it was like the Bouncing Souls would play. We'd be like, wow, there's girls at a show. I can't believe it. You know,
Yeah. 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 I remember that too.
which was awesome. It
What did Hotel Leningrad become later? It turned into something else.
oh
Shit.
man, I don't
Can't remember.
know.
Not Deja One. Deja One was down the block.
Right. That was in Mineola
Um,
as well. Deja One was just like a Kingdom Hall or like some Knights of Columbus Hall or some shit.
yeah.
Which System
Yeah.
of a Down played, by the way.
Yeah.
Opening for
Mineola.
Cleanser,
Mhm.
a classic.
That's true. Very true.
What are
Dude,
some of
I booked Newfound Gloria show at Deja One when they were like a slow emo band.
oh God.
I don't think anybody remembers that. And they had like their first 7-inch out. And Newfound Glory played. And I think Shah Halud played too. One of those shows. But there's a lot of those bands played there that you wouldn't believe that are massive now, you know?
Yeah.
But
System of a Down played, like I just said before. But
yeah.
like, yeah, Christian, yeah, I think Christian McKnight booked a lot of the shows at Deja One, and like the amount of bands he probably continued working with through Live Nation was probably pretty funny and
Oh,
embarrassing. Like, you know,
yeah.
wait, George
Yeah.
George
Yeah.
just said they also played Ground Zero. Who played Ground Zero? General George's System of a
I think
Down?
George, no, no,
Newfound Glory?
I think no, it was far. Tell George it was George. Can you hear me? It was far.
I can hear you. Everything's on a bit of a delay. But yeah,
Yeah, it was weird.
what's your let me ask you this. What's your favorite oh man, there's so many questions I have to ask you, but like what's your favorite Long Island hardcore show of all time? Like the best show you ever saw where you were like, holy shit, I can't believe like what just happened. It was like a life changer. You know, was it like Neglect when Jim Haight showed up with guns? Was it fucking, you
Oh,
know,
that was fun. That was fun. And then we chased him down the block, and he jumped over a bush and got in a car and ran away.
no, they didn't even jump over a bush. It was
Um,
fucking Damien and the singer from DA. Damien
yeah,
sprayed the singer from DA with mace, and then it was a huge fight amongst everybody. Anyway,
yeah,
whatever. It's,
that was fun. Uh, Let me see. I think honestly, there was so many great shows. Like I think some of the best moments were like when I was in Inside and we were playing the PWAC and we did a cover. We did a Bold cover, and the place went fucking berserk. And somebody recently sent me a link to the YouTube. Someone actually has it on YouTube, and it was insane. I just remember being like, finally, you know. And then the Clockwise reunion show we did. Was it not really a reunion? Maybe it was our last show, but it was at Deja One.
Deja One, yeah.
And I just watched that whole show again. Someone sent me the link, and I just remembered watching and being like, we were actually a good band, and that was awesome. And I remember being like, wow, all these people are here, and this is just awesome. That's one of my favorite shows I played. As far as like Taking Back Sunday, I mean, we played so many awesome shows. I think my biggest, for me, somebody asked me last week at an interview, they asked me what was my biggest moment in Taking Back Sunday. And I said, when I walked out on stage in Nassau Coliseum and it was sold out, and I fucking sold out my home, my hometown. And that was just like the greatest moment of my life.
That's so sick.
But yeah, so many great shows, man. Some of my favorite shows were Silent Majority shows. I used to love going to see them play.
Yeah, I mean,
But
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I when they did their reunion shows at Vitus and on Long Island, I guess it was a couple of years ago now, but like, holy shit, that was like, and it was so funny because they fucked with us so hard. They were like, I was like, listen, man, I was like, we need to do a second show at Vitus because like you guys like sold out so quick, and they were like, only if Matter plays. It's like the only way they would do it is if Matter played, and like to get George Reynolds to play a show is like pulling teeth. And I was like, I guess I don't know. Like, I swear to God, like he's so done, like he doesn't want to do anything, and like, like I kind of feel that way too about that band, particularly just because it's just so old at this point that like nobody like the younger kids, there wasn't a resurgence of younger kids who got into it the way it was like when On the Might of Princes was out and they were getting big, and all Chris and those guys talked about was Auto Manipulation and what a great record that was, and it's just like that gave like a huge resurgence to the band, it's just like, but that didn't happen again. So it's like when you think about it, the first Matter 7-inch came out in 1992. So it's going to be like, it's like 30 years.
Wait, can I tell you something?
What?
Can I show you something?
What? Let me see.
You're hanging up on my wall, babe. You're hanging up on my wall.
What? Oh, nice, dude. Is it colored vinyl?
Yeah, it's green.
Nice. Wow, that's rare. I've never seen a green one. I have a yellow one.
Yeah, a friend of mine found it upstate, and she was like, "Dude, you're worth $10," and so she bought it from me.
$10. Shit.
$10.
You could sell that shit for a lot more on Discogs, dude.
Yeah, man, we fucking made it, dude. We made it.
You made it, dude. You're on that
Hopefully
record.
We'll see
Come on.
royalties from that now, from records. What do you think?
Yeah, right. Please, believe me, I've had the rights to those records for years. I never put the first 7-inch up. I probably should.
Right.
But I put the other ones up online, but whatever.
Phone. Sorry, man. My phone is sucking right now. Okay.
Oh, no worries, dude. No worries. Yeah, fucking. Oh man, there's just so many fucking crazy memories. Like somebody sent me a flyer the other day of a show we played at Carol's place with the Elite. Remember them?
Oh.
You don't remember them? The Skinhead band?
No.
They used to play with an American flag behind them. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh my God. Yes.
Okay,
now I do.
And I remember that show vividly because I met Norm Arenas, and I met Scott Weingard. Yeah. Well, I think I already knew Scott Weingard at that point. And Tyler had put that show on.
Well, Scott used to be in Fountainhead, and I played shows with Fountainhead, and I used to go see Fountainhead play.
This is before, I believe this is before Fountainhead, though, because this is before the Angle was open. Yeah. Because like we didn't book Fountainhead until the Angle was open. And there's another one, Chris Trainer, dude. Every time I'd see Fountainhead, I'd be like, there's a guitar, I'd always see like a new chord, and I'd be like, it's a new chord. I'm gonna go home and write a song around it. Because like that guy was so fucking good. Oh my God, he still is. Yeah. Still fucking amazing. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's like there was so fucking many. I have some great pictures of you at my house mooning everybody, every picture, which used to love to show your ass.
Oh, I did something. There's a lot of stupid pictures of me out there, I'm pretty sure. Somebody sent me a picture of me with blonde hair, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? I look terrible.
Oh, come
like
on.
A burnt fat Guy Fieri.
Everybody did the blonde hair thing, man. Come on. Don't be so hard on yourself.
I tell people Clockwise was the heaviest band that ever came out of Long Island. And I don't mean by music-wise, I mean by weight.
And the funniest via physical comedy.
Yeah.
So no, fucking. I remember this one day you showed up at the house in Douglaston, and you're like, yo man, you gotta get in the van. So you had the van, and you were playing that Diffuser album, and you're like, yo man, these guys ripped you off. And I'm like, and you're like, yo man, this is on like the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack or some shit. And I was like, and it was direct rip of Take a Bow. And I was like,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I think my reaction to you was like, well, at least they made it a hit. And you were like, fuck you, dude, sue these guys. So like, I can't sue them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could have.
Yeah, that band. Oh, that band. Hey, you know what? Funny story about Diffuser. We would have never met Adam Lazzara if Pete, who's playing bass for us, quit to go join Diffuser.
Oh shit, that's
And
crazy.
then Phil picked up the bass. He had to learn how to play songs like overnight to go play some shows in North Carolina. We're down in North Carolina. Phil Henready was like, hey,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Like
Adam told that story about Phil introducing.
He's
Right.
like a little surfer leprechaun. You know, he's like a surfer leprechaun. So he was like, I got this bassist and a friend. And we went to Waffle House after the show. And I met, he's going to kick my ass now because I talk to him all the time. I love you, Phil. Anyway, he introduced me to Adam at a Waffle House. And I was like, what is this scruffy little skinny kid from North Carolina going to do? If you want to be in the band, prove yourself. Come up to Long Island. You can sleep on my couch. And he was there for 2 years. You know, so another funny story about Diffuser.
Yeah, no, that's
then,
so fucking funny. I didn't realize that was the reason Phil was playing bass. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Adam told that story, and he's like, yeah, Phil introduced me to the guys in TBS at a Waffle House, and I was like, I'd never heard this fucking story before. This is so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, it's so weird, like how those really small moments in life really like can turn into these huge life-changing experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've probably had 1,000 of them in your life. I mean, it's like, you know, one thing I wanted to bring up actually was something I said to Adam, where I was like, you guys, you know, and I interviewed Jay Black, who from Hot Water Music, who I played in a band with for a couple of years, and who's the best bass player on the fucking face of the planet. That like he,
Right.
I was like, you know, man, I feel like Taking Back Sunday took what you guys did and made it mainstream. So they kind of stole your idea and then changed it around a little bit and had the right timing to make it huge. And what I said was Taking Back Sunday is Hot Water Music without Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Basically, that's probably what it. That's probably a little true. But
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, just like
took that. You know, man. You gotta admit, we all started that Long Island sound. Let's just all be honest. Us, the sound majorities, you guys. You know, we took that. Well, instead of making it so fucking hard, why don't we add some beauty to it and some melodies to it? And that's why we always had those, like, our breakdowns weren't stomp, mosh, punch your face, you know? Like, our breakdowns were, like, soulful, you know what I mean? Kind of like when 7 Seconds came out with Soul Force Revolution, that album. You know what I mean? It was just like, man, that opened my eyes up, and Quicksand Slip opened my eyes up to, like, trying something different, you know what I mean? So I think that we all got inspired by all that.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why we made them profound, you know?
Well, we learned how to groove. We learned how to groove, and we didn't know how to groove before. Like, Quicksand is the perfect example of that. I mean, you know, between Quicksand and Burn, which was like really frenetic, chaotic, but still had, I mean, it's Alan Cage on both records. So, you know, like you get the same, you get that same sort of groove, but like, like, I mean, I remember sitting in George Reynolds's bedroom in like probably 1991. And he played me 3 records. He played me Born Again 7-inch. He played me the first Burn 7-inch, and he played me the Quicksand 7-inch. It might have been 1992. No, it had to have been 91. And I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? I had never heard it, because at the time, all I wanted Mod Over Matter to sound like was Voivod, but none of us were good enough to make it sound like Voivod. So it's like, wow.
You were no piggy, man.
No, I definitely wasn't, man. I wish I was, but I tried, but I totally sucked. But yeah, it was, you know, like all of that post-hardcore stuff in the early 90s. And we were going to see those bands live. And like, it was like, to me, Walter was just mesmerizing. Like you just couldn't take your eyes off the guy. He was just like, he was all groove. He was all fucking style. He was all like, the guy shined. He was like, you know, it's like very much, when you see a guy who's like,
he's like that when he's not playing guitar, though. Even when he's not playing guitar, he's like, "Hey,
Not to
hey,
me, but not to me, but he's still like, yeah, he's just got at that time, like especially when after Slip came out, the guy literally glowed on stage. It was just like, whoa, like this
yeah,
guy is just fucking incredible, and
yeah,
it really did. And so, somebody's saying right now like that he changed the game. That whole band changed the game,
yeah, he
and
did.
and
Oh, Suge Nasty. Hey, Suge, I
oh,
miss you, buddy. That's my. He used to make me sound really good on stage and fix my guitars and
oh,
make me. Yeah,
cheers, bro.
he's one of the greatest dudes to tour with, and one of the greatest dudes to have stand on stage with you. Suge Nasty.
Nice, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so Walter's actually on the show tomorrow with Chris interviewing. Unfortunately, I told him they'd get better fucking ratings if I did it, but whatever. Anyway, fuck you, Chris. We're gonna get better ratings with Eddie. Fuck you, Chris. Anyway, but yeah, man, like fucking,
Oh my god.
like all of that shit was like, I love that we were sort of absorbing all that and then turning it into our own thing. And it was, like I felt like Artie and I definitely went out of our way through the fanzine and all of that shit to sort of like pound home this idea that like a lot of that stuff that was going on in New York City was kind of dumb, and a lot of the stuff that was going on in Long Island was smarter and cooler and a little bit more melodic. Like I don't know, even No Thought had a little bit of melody.
Yeah.
It's like, and Clockwise had a lot of melody. Like
Yeah.
it was a really special time, and like I wish the documentary had come out that we had all done interviews for, because I really feel like that would have busted open a lot of stuff to a lot of people who had never been exposed to, say, Silent Majority or Clockwise, or a lot of the stuff that never really made it off of Long Island. Dude, I don't know if
Right.
I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I'm sure you have. But I remember touring with a band in England, and the guitar player of this band, Kids in Glass Houses, and we called them Kids in Tight Trousers. They the guitar player of that band was like obsessed with Long Island hardcore, and like Glassjaw was
Yeah.
obviously his favorite band, but like he knew shit about Silent Majority, he knew about Clockwise, he knew about everything. He would just like ask me endlessly
Yeah.
about these. I'd be like, did you ever have that experience where like you met kids who were like, yeah, man, like holy shit, fucking
Right.
Long Island hardcore.
I got a funny story about that.
We got a minute 50. Go.
I was in the Philippines in Manila. Taking Back Sunday is massive there. Anyway, I met this guy at the signings, and he handed me a Taking Back Sunday demo to sign on tape, which I remember. I signed that, and then and then later on, he came up to me again, and he handed me a Clockwise tape. And he said, Long Island Hardcore is legendary here. And then I signed it. I took a picture of the guy, and I was like, over in Japan, I just signed a Clockwise tape. It was insane.
Dude, that's
so
I
that
had the
was
same
pretty cool.
I had the same experience with when I was over with World's Fastest Car in Japan, and somebody the manager of the record store handed me Auto Manipulation to sign. He goes, favorite record. I'm like, this is like 1995, 96. I'm like, really? Like, how do you even have this? It was like totally wild, but like it really hit home how far what we had done, as a scene had gone. And it's like, it's really cool. And it's nice. Like, I feel very humbled by anybody, the 20 people that give a shit about any of the stuff I've done, but like you've obviously done a lot bigger shit, and you should be really proud of yourself. And we got 30 seconds.
Thank you, man.
I love you. You're the fucking best.
I
I miss you.
love you. I love all you guys. Don't ever think that I don't ever think about you guys. You're always on my mind. I miss Long Island. I miss everybody. I miss all the guys in Taking Back Sunday. I love all those guys. Yeah, just keep an eye out for me. Maybe I will walk out on stage again one day. Who knows? But until then, I'm still, I'm gonna be young until I die.
Love it. Age of Quarantine. Later.